Hello and welcome to my comic book reviews. I'm Jason, and I suppose you could say this week better than late than never. I don't know what it was this weekend. I usually get my review video at some point over the weekend, but I didn't get all my books read till yesterday, which worked out for the best, which that being Monday at time of recording. And that worked out for the best because I have one book that I was waiting on arriving in the post, so I can include that in my reviews. But yeah, I don't know why it took me so long this week. I know I had a big stack of books to get through, but even so, I'm usually ready by the Sunday, but nah. But anywho, so this week's review video is going to be a bit different. I'm not going to break it down and edit it as much. I'm just going to put it on as a lump so I can get this up as quick as possible. So let's get this bad boy rolling. And first up we have Clone, issue number 18. If I had one wish in comics, it's that more people are reading it. This book is just fantastic. Every issue they cram pack so much into there, so much story. It takes shocking twists and turns, and like even when you're expecting a twist, they still have it happen in a way that you didn't see coming. This issue is filled jam-packed with big happenings. Our clone's still on the run. Luke's wife, who's been shot, things don't look good for her, and they need antibiotics. Not antibiotics, you know, proper medication, I mean, to kind of help because she's got an infection. We then have, you know, other characters that coalition, the people from that religious group we're following, and what's happening with them. And it's just so good. I'm not doing it justice at all. The art as well is just so consistent and top notch. This just is a fantastic book. And really, if you want to give something a world that isn't superheroes, please give this a whirl. You can get the first 3 trades, and they bring the trades out really quick, so because this has just been a fantastic book. The pace of the story never lets up. They cram so much in, and you think, well, we're going to have at some point an issue that really not much happens in, but no, every issue loads happening, pushing the story forward all the time. I'd give Clone issue number 18 5 stars out of 5. So now moving on over to Marvel, we have Black Widow issue number 8. For me, issue 6 was the high point of this series, and once again this issue we have a cameo from another character. Last issue was Daredevil, this issue it is the Winter Soldier, and again it just seems I don't really get why they're in there. I can understand maybe, you know, there is history between Black Widow and the Soldier, and there's issues there to deal with, but he's in it so sparingly and such a small part of the story that you kind of wonder, well, why? What was the point? I don't get it. Other than that, I thought it was really a good kind of one and done, and it's a really good issue where you can jump on because it's just a one and done story. Again, I didn't see the point of Winter Soldier, but the actual story itself was good. Of Black Widow being on this mission. I'm interested in the stuff that's going on with Isaiah, and I'm hoping we'll see more of that in future issues, because for me the last 2 issues, that's been the star of the issue, the stuff happening with Isaiah, and he's becoming a really interesting character. The art once again by Phil Nolo is top notch, and yeah, and this is good. I don't feel it's hit them heights of issue 6 again yet, but it's still a good read, and I give Black Widow issue number 8 4 stars out of 5. So next over to DC, and we have Swamp Thing issue number 33. This is another really great book that just seems to be flying under the radar. You don't hear many people talking about this, but I would argue that I think this is the best run of Swamp Thing, even better, you know, than what we started with in the New 52 with Scott Snyder, because there's just so much. The characters we've built up in the book, because this issue we don't get that much Swamp Thing. We get the kind of aftermath of what happened last issue with Lady Weeds. But then we kind of go into this story where we follow Lady Weeds and Wolf, and we find out how Wolf, all these things that have been happening to Swamp Thing have been engineered by Wolf, and we get to see how. We then have Jonah and Capucin, and they kind of hook up, and so you've got these 2 stories going on, and then at the end of the issue they kind of join up, the 2 stories kind of become one again. But yeah, even so, we didn't get much Swamp Thing, but it was still a really great issue. And like I say, they've really built these secondary characters up really well to where they can hold and carry an issue with not much Swamp Thing in it. So yeah, I'm loving this. Really good book again. And I give Swamp Thing issue number 33 5 stars out of 5. Next, jumping back over to Image, we have issue number 9 of Lazarus. I just love this book. One of the things that I really like is it's a sci-fi book set in the future, but it's a future that you could see possibly developing. You look at how big these corporations are coming and how big business is sort of taking over all these different facets and kind of going into different things. And you could see a point in time where countries are not run by governments, but they're run by corporations, like they are in here. You could see that coming, because already you could argue some countries are being run by corporations. You certainly could make that argument. The story itself, we get to see our two main stories we've been following have kind of connected together now. We've been following the Bennetts, and it's really been cool following the Bennetts, seeing life from what it's like for the waste in this future world. So I really enjoyed that seeing them. They get to where their destination is, and it leads to Forever, who's in there in charge of the security, trying to catch this terrorist who's going to blow the place up. So their stories kind of link up, and I like that, and it was an ending that made sense, and I really enjoyed this, and I'm really looking forward to more. We get the announcement this issue that it's going to be every 5 weeks, and it's going up to 350. I'm still going to get it. Means it's like every 3 weeks. That's practically almost like every 2 months, so it'll probably work out. So I'm like, it isn't going to be that big of a drain on my allowance that I have. I have a little bit of money that I allow for comics each month, and it isn't going to be too big of a drain on that. So yeah, I'm going to keep getting this, really enjoying it. I'm interested where the story's going to go next. We do get a teaser at the end that's going to happen next issue, so it seems we're going to pay a visit to some old characters we haven't seen in a while. But we've still got that email that Forever got, so I'm hoping they're going to pick up on that. And I'm really interested in where they're going to take the Bennetts now, and I'm hoping they're still going to be in the book now that they're working for the Carlyles. But all in all, still a really great book, great little sci-fi book, and I'd give the issue number 9 of Lazarus 5 stars out of 5. Now back to Marvel, because there's a lot of Marvel books for me this week. We have Captain America, issue number 22, and this was really good. It's a bit spoilery, but Captain America is now an old man. In defeating the Iron Nail, he had the super soldier serum sucked out of him, so he's an old man now. So, he's no longer Captain America. So we've got this situation where we have elements that happened in Dimension Z kind of come home to roost. And it links up a little bit with Uncanny Avengers with a particular villain. And so you can see those two books kind of connecting a bit, which is cool. Because they're both written by Rick Remender, so he's joining those two books up, which, like I say, is cool. We get this shit hitting the fan, if you pardon my language, and Cap's kind of calling S.H.I.E.L.D. out, saying like all these secrets, and it's kind of like at the end of Winter Soldier where everybody's kind of questioning S.H.I.E.L.D. It's the same kind of deal that's going on right here. There's a really great kind of piece of dialogue between Cap and between Nick Fury Jr. that I really liked. Which basically ends up with Nick Fury saying, well, how many Avengers are there these days? We then get Falcon and Jet Black, and they've kind of hooked up, which to me felt like it came out of nowhere. It does make for an interesting direction with the story, but yeah, it does feel like it come out of nowhere. Really going to look forward to seeing what's going to happen when Jet Black takes Falcon home to meet the family. That's going to be pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah. My family, they're like a bunch of Nazi scientists, but like, and Dad, he's my black boyfriend. yeah, that might be worth the price of admission by itself. But anywho, the story itself, I really liked, because I'm enjoying Uncanny Avengers. So seeing it tie in with that, seeing stuff that's tying in from the beginning of this book, and that there's been a point of stuff that's been happening, I really liked. We've still got a couple of mysteries that I'm really looking forward to seeing how they can cover. The art by Carlos Pachanko was just brilliant, and all in all, I really enjoyed this. And I give Captain America issue number 22 5 stars out of 5. So next up, we're moving on, staying with Marvel. We have Daredevil 0.1. I picked this up, didn't know what it was, but it was Daredevil, and it was Mark Waid, so I thought, it's pretty, a bit of a safe bet there. It is a $4.99 book, but there are no adverts throughout the book. I didn't realise it when I read it, because I was just so enjoying the story, but there's no adverts. Originally, this was a digital comic that they're now releasing as on print edition. And so yeah, we have no adverts, which is cool. I really like a comic with no adverts. It is brilliant. The story itself, it's to do with Daredevil's trip from New York to San Francisco, and he takes the scenic route. They end up on a plane, and he's fascinated with this person who's got no heartbeat, and that leads him into this whole kind of caper and adventure. I really like the story. I really like the mystery of the story, and when it unfolded what it was, I thought it was a really, really good story. There was a lot of fun in it, but at the same time there was peril, and it was just a really, really fun story. The art was done by Krause. I'm trying to get the dude's for Peter Krause, who I understand has worked with Wade before, but he does a good job with the art. And this was a fun book. It's not, if you've not got the funds, you don't need to buy this. It's not essential reading. It won't affect Daredevil. You'll still be able to follow the story without this. It's just a kind of really fun side story that if you got the dash for, it's a good fun read. And I'd give Daredevil issue number 0.1 5 stars out of 5. So next up we go over to Magneto issue number 6. I just really love this title. Every issue I just fall further in love. Colin Bunny just do some great work writing this series, and the covers have been really good as well. You've got Magneto on the cover there as the Grim Reaper, which is cool. But anyway, this issue is going after the Marauders. They were the gang that Mr. Sinister put together during the fall of the mutants to go and kill all the Murlocs. So kind of Magneto sees them as the lowest of the low, that they butchered and slaughtered their own kind, and he kind of sees them as the lowest of the low, and he kind of wants to really make sure justice is served, Magneto style justice, which includes a lot of you know, slicing the body parts and, you know, pretty much death. There's an interesting kind of revelation we get about the Marauders. Is it the Marauders? I think it is. Yeah, for a minute I thought it was Morlocks, but Morlocks were the ones who lived in the sewers, weren't they? Yeah, so the Marauders, we have a little, I don't know if it's been established before that about them, but it's really used to an interesting kind of thing here, and I'm really curious to see what Magneto is going to do next and where he's going to take the story. I just really love this book. Magneto's in that kind of grey area. He's not a villain. Usually you find your villains are like motivated by self. Like you look at Doctor Doom, a great character, but he couldn't carry his own book because his whole kind of sense of being is motivated by the self. He wants to become a god. He wants to have power, and he's motivated by self. So he is a villain. Magneto's not. He's not motivated by self. He doesn't enjoy killing. He's as he sees it, serving justice. And he doesn't take no pleasure in doing it, but at the same time he has no guilt over doing it, and that's where the grey area comes in, because traditionally heroes don't kill, but Magneto has no compunction about that. So I find that he's in an interesting area, and makes him an even more interesting character, because is he a hero, is he a villain? You know, you could kind of make arguments for both, but I'm just really loving this book, and this was another really good issue, and I give issue number 6 of Magneto 5 stars out of 5. Staying with Marvel now, we have all new XFactor issue number 10. This was another really great issue. Part of me is kind of thinking, well, not much happens in this issue. Dakota gets kidnapped, XFactor rescue her. That is pretty much it. Oh, and the boss finds out that Gambit slept with his wife. So that's pretty much what goes on. In and of itself, not a lot, but it's the interactions between the characters that, like, even characters that I've never cared of before, Peter David takes them and writes them, and suddenly I care about them. I think it was Alfred Hitchcock who said the easiest way to make somebody care about a character is to have them laugh with them. So, like, in here you see Peter David use that device where you have a character like Warlock, and there's this running gag throughout the book. And it makes you actually care more about Warlock. He's never been a character I've really been that interested in, but I'm actually quite attached to the fella now, and if something happened to him, I'd be quite sad. So and that's all down to the skill of the writer and the way he writes these characters. Gambit is just the best he's been written in years. I'm really enjoying Gambit in this book. In fact, the whole makeup of the team, I don't think there's a character in the book that I don't like. And that's down to Peter David's fantastic writing. I just really enjoyed the heck out of this book. And the ending, it had me waiting with bated breath for the next issue because some big shit is coming down. But I'd give All New X-Factor issue number 10 5 stars out of 5. So now, next up, as we move along, we have Thor, God of Thunder, issue number 24. This is the epilogue of The Last Days of Midgard. And what a great issue. We had last issue the big battle, which, of course, Thor wins the big battles. But the thing that makes Dario Agger such a great villain for Thor is used to going up against people and just smashing them. And you look at a lot of his villains, and they're villains that he can go and beat up. But like the thing with Dario Agger, and probably why Loki makes such a great villain as well for Thor, is the fact that Thor can't just go and hit him. Dario Agger uses things that Thor doesn't understand, like the legal system, or use the media to help to fight for. And you've got to say, yeah, Thor won the big battle, but did Dario Agger actually get the end game? Did he actually win in the end? Really good book. I really enjoyed it. There's some really nice teasers of the future and where the story could be going, which I really loved as well. The art by Agustin Alessio does the art for the main part, and whereas like reason I think Rivik and Aaron makes us a great team is Aaron writes, the way he writes this book, he writes it in a kind of a style of kind of like one of these mythological kind of sagas that you're reading, and Rivik's art really fits into that style of writing, and they just click together really well. This issue has got a lot more grounded because it's the aftermath, it's the stuff that happens afterwards, that you don't always get in those mythical sagas. You get the big battle and the big victory. This is the aftermath, and I think Agustin does a fantastic job here, Agustin Alessio, of getting it that grounded kind of mode for the story, and I think the art works really well. All in all, this just remains a really great book. We've got no more Thor until September. I wasn't going to get 10th Realm, which is the Thor Original Sin kind of cross tie-in. I wasn't going to get that, but it's written by Jason Aaron, and we've got no more Thor until September. You know, Marvel I usually think of, I like Marvel, but they are greedy bastards. But in this case, they're nice greedy bastards because they're at least, like, this book isn't, we're not getting this another issue this to September, so it facilitates more you may be picking up that title. So don't be surprised if you don't see the 10th Realm been picked up by me. But as for Thor, God of Thunder, issue number 24, another book that I really enjoyed the heck out of, and I would give it 5 stars out of 5. Now we jump back over for the final 3 books, back over to DC, and we have the New 52, Future's End, issue number 9. This was good. I still don't really care about the Lois Lane stuff, I'm not caring. We then go to Cadmus Island, which at least there's some development with that story now, and it feels like we're moving forward, and it's becoming a little bit more interesting. We then have the stuff that I'd like to see a lot more of, the Mr. Terrific, Batman from the Future stuff, that kind of ties in with Superman and that girl that who's going out with that guy who could maybe be Tim Drake. So that we get some of that, and I really like to see more of that because I'm really enjoying that. And then at the end of the issue we get the Frankenstein stuff, which is for me the main event, the stuff I enjoy the most. I'm really loving my weekly dose of Frankenstein. It's been interesting in the last few issues of this. It's written more like an anthology now, as each story has been separated. They don't sprinkle it throughout the book. It's just like we get our chunk out there. There's Cadmus Island, then we get this chunk with Mr. Terrific and Batman for the Future, then this bit with Frankenstein. It feels much more like an anthology than a one story, and at some point I'm going to be interested to see some of these stories start to muddy together, as like some stories have joined up, but they still feel like there's a lot of separate stories going on here, and I'm really going to be intrigued to see how they're going to join everything up. But this was a good issue that for the main I really enjoyed, and I give Future's End issue number 9 4 stars out of 5. We then have Batman Eternal issue number 13. This was just so good. I loved the scenes with Jim Gordon and his son. Those were some really good scenes. I'm loving what they're doing with Stephanie Brown. I really would be interested to know like what people who are fans before the New 52 of Stephanie Brown think of her character. Is she consistent with what she was before? Because I've never read the character before, but I'm really liking what they're giving us in here for Stephanie Brown. I'm loving Tim Drake. I really want a Red Robin ongoing. They give us all these other ongoings when the one I want the most is Red Robin, because he's some of my favourite stuff is the Red Robin stuff in here. And like Harper Row, I'm not too bad. I'm not too, I know a lot of people hate her. I'm a bit like that with her, but I really like the Red Robin stuff in here. It's really good. And pretty much I'm invested in all the stories that they're telling at the moment, and I'm really enjoying this. This was another really good issue. I enjoyed the Gotham Police Department stuff as well, and how was it Jason Bard, how he gets round the kind of things that have been placed in their way by Commissioner Forbes. So I thought that was really clever and that was cool. But all in all, yeah, I'm really enjoying Batman Eternal, and this was another good issue. And usually 13 is unlucky for some, but this was a lucky issue because it was a good issue. And I give Batman Eternal issue number 13 5 stars out of 5. So finally we have Green Arrow issue number 33, and this is my pick of the week. This was the book I read first, and after reading all those books, and there's some really good books this week, this was still my favourite. I'm just loving this story. Miko, his kind of Green Arrow's half sister, I'm really loving her character. I think part of why I've accepted her so quickly is she reminds me a lot of Damian Wayne, and while I started out with Damian Wayne, I really disliked the character. By the time we got to the end of the story, I really like Damian Wayne. So, and he's pretty much my favourite Robin now. So I think that because I've got that, like, missing that character, we've got this character now in here, in Miko, and she reminds me so much of him that, I think that's probably why I've took to her so quickly. But I'm really interested to see where that part of the story is going to go. The end of the issue was fantastic, kind of like a double cliffhanger that just has me waiting with bated breath for next issue. Yeah, I'm just absolutely loving Green Arrow right now. I love how they kind of work in the flashbacks with the modern day stuff. So it's almost like you're getting two stories, the modern day stuff and the past stuff, which if you're a fan of the TV show, you'll be used to that. So I don't know if it's a conscious thing that they're doing that, because it stays in tune with the TV show where you get the flashback stuff with the modern day stuff, or if that's just something that they're using for this story and they've not even thought, oh, it's like the TV show. It'd be interesting to know that. But yeah, like I say, this is just really good. The art remains exceptional from Andrea Sorrentino, and the usage of colour is really interesting. And all in all, this is just a really great issue. And I like the fact that, like, Green Arrow, he's not like a Batman type character, where Batman's always got the answers, he always has the upper hand. And Green Arrow very often doesn't. He's often outnumbered and outflanked, but he finds a way to win. And that's one of the things that I really like about Green Arrow at the moment. And it's a really good book. Definitely give it a recommendation. So don't go back to the original New 52 stuff. From when Jeff Lemire jumped on this book, it's well worth picking up. It's a really great story. And I give Green Arrow issue 33 is my pick of the week. So there we are, that's 23 minutes, and I crammed all those books into 23 minutes, that's not too bad. I will be back, fingers crossed, either Wednesday or Thursday with my haul video, and then I should be back at some point over the weekend with my reviews. Also, hopefully, maybe this week, maybe next week, I'm hopefully going to do another comic book catch-up video as well. So yeah, that leaves me to say thank you very much for watching, I really do appreciate it. I've been Jason, this has been my comic book reviews. Bye for now.